let's talk about alone. The um, the word alone, and kind of like it's changed meanings and value for me over the last 40 years. But and it's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. Um, I have, um, as you know, this is the first time that I've ever like publicly really talked about this kind of stuff that went on, and I've held all of this stuff in alone. I dealt with all of this alone, um, and there were probably multiple reasons why. I mean, fear of judgment is definitely one. Um, Embarrassment, shame. There's a lot of like personal guilt that I put on myself for all of these things that have happened. Um, and so um, I think that that's one of the reasons. The other reason definitely was like a lack of trust for trust in other people. So one of the things that I've noticed and learned about having survived this trauma and being like I guess, a trauma survivor, is that I like to have as much information as I can on a situation. I've always been a control freak. So, like wanting to have as much control over and power over any given situation at any given time, um, as much as is possible for me, gathering as much of the details as possible. Um, Sometimes I'm sure that it's come across as bizarre, maybe some of the questions that I've asked people about different situations, but like I have to know like what is going on, and I've learned that that's because it's a trauma response because I have felt unsafe many times in situations. So the way to stave that off is to know exactly what's going to happen, and the more information I know, the more I can prepare for an attack coming from any kind of possible or impossible scenario. Um, and like that's 100% true. So I've always liked, and it's popped up I think in some kind of silly places for me. Like I like to be the one that drives. So like if we're gonna go, if we're hanging out, somebody invites me out, let's go to dinner. We're gonna meet up with a bunch of people. Okay, I want to know who's gonna be there. I want to know where we're going. What is the dress code like? And I want to know like as much as I can about this situation. Most importantly, who's going to be there, and also to take that a step further, because I don't think that that's abnormal to want to know any of those things. But I also want to know who knew that we were going to go out. So how many other people know about this event that's going on? Like, let's say it's a girls' night with three of my friends. Do your husbands know? How much, like, how long have they known? Who could they possibly have told? What other, like, outside of the three that are coming, who else knows about this event? Is there going to be any kind of backlash? And then I could kind of prepare that way, knowing who's going to be there. And then a step further than that, one that I cannot usually get to is like, okay, so we're going to go to, let's say, Half Shell Oyster for dinner. Who who is going to be in the restaurant? Like, who could randomly possibly be there? And that I would maybe not want to run into. Um, so that's like, that always goes through my head. Okay, then also on top of that is I want to be the one that drives there. So, like, I know that it's, carpooling's great and everything like that, and I do ride in the car with friends. But I need you to know that when I ride in your car with you and I have agreed for you to drive me to Girls' Night Out, that is a big deal to me. That is me putting a lot of faith and trust and bestowing a great honor on you to be able to drive me around, because I want to go, I want to participate, but I also want to be able to leave whenever I want to. And I am very good at an Irish goodbye. I will just disappear from the situation. So I so if you drive me to like girls' night out, that is me giving up a huge part of my control to you, and it means a lot to me to do that. Um, and I think, excuse me, my cough. I can't get over this stupid thing. Um, but I think that that is probably like it's just one of these weird little glitches. And then I read this thing on, I guess it's on Twitter really, but or X, whatever Twitter is really called now. But it popped up on my Pinterest page, and it says trauma survivors often get in the habit of spending a lot of time alone because alone is safe, relatively anyway. Alone is controllable. We understand alone. We don't have to stress about alone. People are unpredictable, and when we're alone, there's less of a risk to manage. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. People make the situations scary and difficult because I have no idea what you're going to come with. And I don't know how it's going to affect me, whatever you have. And I also don't know who's like randomly going to be around in a situation, who's going to hear about things, how are they going to feel about this thing. Like, there's all these things. This mental load of having this major anxiety is it is so tiring. It's exhausting. So it is so much simpler just to be alone. 100% I agree with this. But excuse me. But that's unrealistic. I mean, we were created to be we are social beings. We were created to have a companionship with people. So being alone, like solitude all the time is no bueno. Um, so there's that. Then there's also the idea of alone as in like unmarried. So when I was younger, and I'm talking like late teens, early 20s. So the idea of being alone forever was, I mean, probably the worst thing ever. Not because I lived by myself. Like after I graduated college, I had an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. I lived alone. I loved it. There was nothing like that was not an issue. The idea for me of not finding somebody to spend my life with made me like I equated that with being unlovable. Okay. And I know now, being 42 and looking back on all of this and doing a lot of studying and excuse me, researching things, I know that really stems from the teenage relationship that we've been talking about, the rape. Immediately that rewired my brain to think that I was only valuable in those kinds of sexual situations. So if that's the only place that I'm valuable, then if I can't find somebody to want to be with me forever, then I am completely unlovable and unworthy. And that's like that was the mindset that I had when I was early 20s. I have since grown up, and a lot of a lot of the stuff that I've been working on personally has led me to feel like that's not really a bad thing. And I really hope that my children don't feel that way. I hope that their self-worth is from self. So like I want Reagan's self-worth to come from her. Her value should come from her. It should not be related to anybody else. And both of my boys too. Like I don't want any of them to have to rely on somebody else to fulfill some need, or someone else to make you feel whole. That's messed up. And that is not the way that I don't think that that's the way that it should be. And I definitely don't feel that way right now. I feel like I am enough. I am awesome. I feel really like I'm it. I know my value, or I'm starting to really know it and to really see it, um, and to know what I bring to the table. And so, I don't mind eating alone. That's fine with me. It's going to take a lot for me to like extend the offer for somebody to sit at the table with me. Um, because I know what I am worth and I'm good with it. Um, and I think that that's an okay place to be. I saw another pin on Pinterest that was kind of spoke to me also about like my love of being alone, because I am, in my space now. I am very happy, very at peace. Everything is, um, I'm feeling pretty good, relatively speaking. I mean, trudging up all of this stuff and really taking a real hard look at myself and um, my actions, my reactions to things, and my relationship with people um, is it's difficult and it's stressful. And there are some days that I just really don't even want to be around anybody. And I was talking to my friends this morning about that, because I was like, I need to reach out. One of the things that my therapist was telling me that she wants me to really work on is reaching out when I am in a kind of lowish place. So I've gone through all this stuff by myself. I haven't probably had a I don't have an issue talking about things that have happened. Like, I'll tell you everything that happened yesterday. I'll tell you everything that I did last week and how I was feeling about all of it. And I will go into great detail about that, or last month, last year, whatever. Um, but like, if you want to know what is bothering me right now, I'm probably not going to tell you. And um, the current everyday kind of stuff, like, I don't talk about like while I'm in something. It's not until that something has ended, and then I can kind of start to process things, and then I'll loop somebody else into it. Um, so my therapist was like, we need to kind of break that. Like, so we've been talking a lot about friends and relationships in that kind of way, and she asked if I had anybody that I trusted, and I said I do. I have a couple people, and quality over quantity. And so she was like, okay, the challenge is when you're feeling low, just reach out and say like, hey, I'm having a really hard day. I don't need anything from you. I just need you to know. And so I did talk about that with two of my friends this morning. I was like, if you get this random text from me, this is what I'm doing. I really need to not go through this stuff alone. Like, both of these people know what's like, they do know currently what's going on in my world and what my world really looks like right now. And I was like, I tend to not talk about stuff in the moment. I tend to just kind of deal with everything as it comes, work through stuff in my own way, in my own timeline. But like, I need to have people I can lean on in the now. And I was like, it's going to be you guys. So they were like, okay. And then, that's my challenge. I'm going to do that. And one of them was saying that she's, been listening to these, and I said I've been having a hard time, like, really even wanting to go out and socialize. And she said, when you strip yourself raw and break yourself open, like you're doing, she said it's really hard because you're afraid of people judging you. She said it's totally reasonable that you don't want to be out and around other people, because who knows who's listened, who knows what they're thinking about. So I say all of that to circle back to this pin that showed up on my Pinterest page, and I saved it because I thought, yeah, this is perfect. It says, I think my love of being alone stems from me knowing that if I'm alone and then no one else is around to disturb me or alter any of my emotions, everything is up to me then. No one is there to misjudge me, misunderstand me, etc. It's peaceful, a peace that I don't feel with other humans often. And I mean, yeah, I think that's probably why I haven't talked about a lot of stuff. Also, it was not talked about in my house. My family didn't talk about these things either. So then I didn't realize like how much I really needed to start talking about these big issues. Like I said, it took me months to even say that I had been in an abusive relationship. It took me a long time. It took me years before I labeled either incident as rape, and it took me even longer to then talk about it to people. Um, and I think that that's staying inside of me and not being able to, not feeling like I could reach out to somebody. I think that did a lot of hurt to me. So I don't want to do that anymore. If you're going through something, find somebody that you can reach out to. Whether it be a friend who really knows you or, a paid therapist, but definitely talk to somebody. I can tell you that keeping stuff inside of you, like stress doesn't just go away. The trauma doesn't go away. It shows up in your body, and it shows up as bad things in your body. Um, so it needs to be processed. It cannot be just ignored. Um, and I am absolute living proof that it cannot be ignored. So reach out, find someone. And I'm going to try to do the same. I'm definitely talking to myself there.